Joining me today are my dear friends and collaborators, Stefan and Soli Kleinschuster, the husband and wife team behind Matricalis Films. Stefan began his journey as a painter, selling his work to high-end collectors, while Soli has been working as a highly organized and business-savvy producer. Together, they've built a powerful partnership, and our new original TV series is going into production soon.
Go ahead there, darling.
Hello, camera. My name is Soli, and I am a director, producer, probably more of a producer, but I'm an aspiring director.
And I'm Stefan Kleinschuster, and I've just been doing the art thing for basically my life. So we're here because art leads into film, and film leads back into art. And
How did you both get into, art and filmmaking in the first place? I know, Stefan, you're a painter. I've seen your work. It's amazing. When did you realize I want to be an artist? I want to make things?
Well, I think if you start to get into these interiority discussions about form, things that you find beautiful or things where you're just pursuing beauty, I think it just leads to a more of an individual exploration that ends up being more public as the things build and the things get more and more seeable, so to speak. Probably starts out just doing little drawings like I did when I was a kid, just doing drawings. And then I was like, boy, these are interesting. Then everybody says, whoa, they're moving along. And then it sort of builds from there, and the discussions about form and about beauty and what you like and what's exciting just kind of keeps building and building and building until you end up with an audience such as you would have in an art gallery or with a film.
Your mom was an artist as well.
Yeah,
she is an artist, so that was kind of a big influence for you, wasn't it? To have like materials around, because if you don't have a parent who's into filmmaking or making art, it's kind of like my dad was a businessman, and so I kind of learned to talk shit on the phone pretty well.
You could be a pretty good bitch.
Yeah, but for getting into it, I had to figure that out. It wasn't introduced to me as that's something you can do. I came from a family of scientists and then entrepreneurs on my mom's side, so scientists on my dad's side and entrepreneurs on my mom's side. And there was no, if you talked about going and being in film, they made fun of you. So,
really?
Oh yeah.
I feel like, you're a producer. I feel like a lot of people don't realize, especially people that are not in our world of entertainment, they don't realize that being a producer, you're half and half being a business person and half being an artist, but most of the time being a business person, because businesses is what, or money really is what makes the motion picture or the TV show, wherever you're producing, and makes the thing happen.
Right.
I've looked at your work. I've seen your paintings on Instagram. They're phenomenal. And I see you're from Colorado, so I see a lot of Western elements, but I want you to describe what words, maybe 3 words or less, would you use to describe your visual style when it comes to painting and art, and also filmmaking as well.
Just to clarify, I was never interested in the camera side of filmmaking. I didn't pick up a camera when I was younger and just start filming things.
Right.
I'm not sure that you had been that way when you started your journey in this, but I just wrote. So I've been a content creator, and not the visual content stuff, but the written content person. Yeah. So our production company has tons of written content. So
it's a literary content.
It's a literary, basically everything. But a visual thing with the painting stuff, stylistically, I would say probably just playful.
For me, I just like to frame things a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I can't decide if I'm a director or cinematographer. I'm not technical enough to be a true cinematographer, I don't think. But I love operating cameras. I love, to me, the fluid movement of that. But then,
you're just good at it.
When I was a kid, my mom got me a video camera, but it started out at my aunt and uncle's house where they had a video camera. and we made our own shows, and I would write a script.
Yes.
And then all of my cousins and we would like make a set and we'd film it, and then we'd force all of our parents to watch it. And then, you know, and they would just be like, oh God. And then they're like, man, guys, this is really good. And I was like, I didn't know that I was filmmaking. I just was like compelled to do it.
Yes.
And then my mom was like, here, Soli, here's a camera. And so she got me a camera that was digital and had tape on it.
Yes.
And I just started doing these like basically like Anchorman / SNL skits with my neighbors. And I would just do my fake little Anchorman skits, and then, you know, safety first videos and film them, and they were just, you know, comedy things, and I really loved doing that. But I didn't know that I was gonna like make a career out of it. I was confused to how that even happened.
I was sort of, my entree into LA was, I knew a guy who was Keanu Reeves's PR guy for this Arch Motorcycles, which is, by the way, if you haven't seen Arch Motorcycles, to Gard Hollinger, the creator of Arch Motorcycles, is the most amazing motorcycles probably ever. But anyway, they had a huge space, like 20,000 square feet in Hawthorne, and I knew the PR guy, and he said, we need to have something on the walls because they have exhibits and stuff, so you don't want to make a bunch of paintings. And I kind of made these paintings. We brought them all out to LA, we hung them on the walls, came back and forth a couple of times before I really realized, I mean, I've been writing since 2008, but I brought the paintings out in 2014. Mm-hmm. I'd already been preparing to come to Los Angeles for a while. But the painting thing started, I started painting, basically it was very insular in the studio, got my degrees in printmaking masters in printmaking from Colorado State. And then just got a studio just south of there, was painting, didn't show in coffee shops or anything, just kept getting better or developing as a painter. And then just sort of jumped in with my entree as the introductory series of this gallery called Robuchon, which happens to be one of the bigger galleries in the Western states. Right. And in fact, it's probably reputably the biggest gallery, which is nice. I like to go where I sort of belong. My conversations were with their gallery at the time. Right. And I made a bunch of big paintings, and Steve Ells from Chipotle and his CFO, Mark Crumpacker, bought a couple of big ones.
Wow.
Right off the bat. I had no idea. I mean, I actually had gone to Greece, you know, and came back the night of I didn't see the show being put up. Came back and found out that half the show had been sold, so I was happy about that. And then the next show I had, there was a lot of coverage in the media about it. The Denver Post and the Rocky Mountain News had covered it quite a bit. It really didn't belong so much in the art world the way I thought I belonged. I was much more thinking about narrative and storylines. The paintings became more complex and more narrative based. Right. And I was like, I gotta go to where the art is greater, so to speak, and that's in movies.
Matricalis is your company that you guys have together. How did you guys come up with that name? It's a very interesting name.
Well, she is the one that came up with it.
Yeah.
But Matrix, I think we talked about we developed it because Matrix, the word Matrix, yes. It's gotten a bad rap. Yeah. because it usually means the illusory world that's been created for you that you try to unplug from or escape from. Right. But it really means womb in Latin. Right. Right. So Matrix means womb. So it's like a Chopra says that it comes from a matrika or measurement. Is also part of that word base. M-A-T is sort of the motherly word, right? I mean, maternity. It's all based on measurement. The idea of measurement or the womb. So it's basically the manifested. Anything that falls within the matrix is manifested, and the stewarding of the manifested. Right. Not the unmanifested, that's the world of ideas, but the manifested is the ones where the matrix is a womb, or you need to steward things or nurture things into place or shape them. The material, the shaping process. So I think that Soli just sort of jumped on the idea of this, the nurturing side of the word maternity, Matricalis is basically like almost a machine that creates a nurturing space.
Also, I had my first child and I was becoming serious. Like, there's no more playing around now. I've been, I should have several credits putting things together for people, and I just never was like harsh about it. I always was like, oh sure, this is the way it works. We're just doing favors for each other. And I didn't realize that I was like actually moving and shaking, and I should have been more assertive about it. And then I also found out that if you really want to do deals in Hollywood, you have to have a production company, because they're going to hire your production company, whether it's even selling content or whatever that is.
Exactly,
And so I was like, well, I'll do the paperwork, and
it's got to have a name.
And it's got to have a name, and it sounds
name.
kind of, it's like,
it is a cool name.
tough, but also, you know, it's got Ma in it, so I figured.
That brings me to another point, because Stefan and Soli, you guys, you invest a lot in stories that are particularly from the lens of people of color, actually, you know. So I mean, we've worked together, and I've seen the incredible things you've written about BIPOC people, about particularly about Native American people and Black people in America. What inspires you to like get into creating stories that, you know, really are for people that look like me?
Well, empathy. I mean, I think that empathy is the first order, because if somebody is experiencing a true feeling or a true pain or true difficulties or a true problem, I've just been, for some reason, I just followed my mom's lead into empathy. So it was not necessarily empathizing about a person. It could be empathizing about a tree that needed water, or if it was a puppy that needed to be petted or fed, or a kid that was looking lonely. It just was to zoom into the environment kind of thing. And so I've always had a great relationships with people that don't come from my background, as well as people that come from more closely my background. But they just happen to have befall a more underdog, more noble tone in me for some reason.
Right.
Like there's a tonal quality that certain characters do, and they just happen to befall at this point an African-American character named Isaiah,
right,
in a show called Eclipse that I am writing, and it's being developed right now, and then a Native American character, that back in the day character. But I was very, very excited about feeling out the world of the rebellion of the Plains natives, as coming from Colorado and having Bureau of Indian Affairs relatives and some people involved in the, like my great grandfather was being the first forest ranger in the United States, and kind of being a little bit on the bureaucratic side, but a little bit on the cowboy side of things.
Right.
But always more academic people. They weren't like, you know, shoot 'em up dudes. They were definitely more thinkers.
Wasn't your mother also, wasn't she proposed to by,
Yeah, an Oglala
Lakota.
Lakota. Yeah,
wow.
was proposed to.
and gave her a dowry and
all kinds of cool stuff. So I've had a lot of history just around in the area. From that is the thing that I began to learn is that to recognize distinction is as important as to recognize that which is eternal and similar in everybody. And they're basically the same thing.
Yes.
The eternal and then the specific are basically they're inverses of the same manifested orbit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so from somebody's origin, you know, I know you're Iroquois and Piscataway, and then also African-American heritage. Why can't I completely acknowledge a heritage and support a heritage, but then also support that which is carrying the heritage,
Exactly.
which is your eternal spirit?
Well, here's the thing, like, yeah, like, I think when we try to just paint everyone as like, you know, I don't see color. No, I want you to see my color.
Absolutely.
Actually. I want you to see that, like, I am Black and also have indigenous roots and, you know, have this heritage.
Cool.
I think it's cool, but at the same time, don't look at my color as something that makes me not human.
Yeah.
You know, so we're all human, but we all have.
Right.
I feel like, you know, in my humble opinion, I think, you know, God made us or painted us with all different colors, and that is beautiful. You know? So
that's a sweet way to put it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and there's only one thing that separates people from either being good or bad or better or worse, and that's you're either cool or you're not.
Yeah. That's
Thank
it.
you.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
And if you're cool,
and if you're cool,
you're cool.
That's it. Yeah.
Where can we find you online and know all about you?
Okay, well, we got a couple. Well, we're redoing some web design stuff, but really we've got an Instagram that we're not super active on, but we are there if you want to find us.
It's Soli and Stefan, so it's SoliAndStefan.
Yes.
So
That's our Instagram.
and that's the Instagram. And we want to have so much of an online presence. Like I said, I've just been so involved in the personal.
We let the
and
talent
writing.
take care of that part. I've been filing paperwork with like the IRS and the Secretary of State. Like I don't have time to post.
But
stuff.
I think I'm still represented by Robichon, but they don't have any current stuff because I haven't shown them any current stuff because I've been keeping it all because I'm going to find a place for it that I like. And it's
for exhibit though.
In LA,
But for exhibit, not for sale. So none of the paintings are currently for sale that we have. But if you want a commission, DM him. That's all I can say.
Awesome. We've heard it from Soli and Stefan, my dear friends. And check out this new episode of Meet the Makers. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Norman.
Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Thank you.